what Project Cortex can do is that manual work that I was describing earlier, it can do that for me. And it's pretty intuitive.
2Lead is a remote-first company based out of Canada.
What makes a world-class Microsoft 365 intranet and digital workplace?
There's two ways you can kind of go about doing it. One way you can do it is you can essentially create a model that's a form processing model. This is essentially where the content is consistent. And let's use the example of a purchase order. So a purchase order always has the same kind of structure in our organization or very close to it. And so if you look at the vendor field, if we look at, the name, the date, those types of things, all of those fields are consistent. So it will find all the fields, first of all, if you just upload the content. And then you essentially do a really simple teaching pass where you say, yep, these are these fields. Click this one is this field, that's what this field. And then it essentially learns based on that where the fields should be. It learns a little bit more about like contextually where they are in case they move a little bit here and there. Think of imperfect scans and scenarios like that. And then what it does is it stores that information. So the next time I upload a bunch of content, in this case, I upload all of these purchase orders, it's going to automatically extract that information from those documents. So this is something that these are live capabilities today. You can go play with AI Builder right now, even before Project Cortex is flighted in your tenant. It just makes the whole process much easier to do using Project Cortex. So absolutely, this is something I'm going to do with my certifications as an example within my own organization. We're going to do it with policies. We're going to do it with POs. We're going to do it with invoices. You can imagine all the many resources where this automatic extraction becomes really valuable. But that's not all. There's sometimes content where the extraction isn't as easy because it's not consistent. So look at this model, which is a slightly different model of entity extraction. Here, what we're doing is we're classifying content more based on what we predict the content to have as labels and stuff like that we can pull out. So here, the idea is we're trying to determine what kind of contract it is. So we're going to extract the contract type. The contract type typically comes up as a phrase. It comes before, the word agreement. It has this, it has that. So there's very particular patterns at play. We apply that, and then we essentially have, say, a repository, in this case, maybe a place where we store these contracts. And when you drag and drop or add these contracts into that environment, it's going to essentially read the document and try and do true understanding. It's trying to understand the document based on the model we just defined, and then it's going to extract those values. Now, this is a little different because in the previous example, you have a really high degree, like almost 100% at all times, because the form is the same, right? It's form processing. Whereas here, there is inconsistency. There's differences in the way that things are written, but it doesn't matter. It still extracts those values. And if you were paying really close attention earlier, it said 90% chance of extracting successfully this one, 100% chance of accuracy on this one. So one of the key things is sometimes it's not going to extract a value, one, because that value may not be in the document. So in this example, maybe Adele Vance doesn't have a company, so there's no reason for it to have shown. And two, sometimes it's in a very different spot. It didn't make sense. It's not the norm. So at least you only have to update a few of these. You don't have to update all of them. And that's a really big win in terms of both productivity efficiency, but also unlocking arguably what probably would have been very unstructured content in our organization, meaning it's in the correct repository, it's in the correct place, but it never had any of this metadata. And metadata is powerful. We can use it for refinement and search. We can use it for rollups. We can use it for automation with Power Automate and much more. So really great to see these kinds of tools to take our intranet experiences and various collaboration and business process needs and other things that we have much further. If you're just joining us, this session today is going to be about optimizing organizational knowledge with Project Cortex and the Microsoft Digital Workplace. The session is going to be like drinking from a fire hose. There's going to be a lot of content, so I highly recommend reviewing the recording that'll be made after the session if you want to go back to some of the things that were discussed, or reach out to the LiveTiles team or the speaker, myself, Richard Harbridge, and we can always connect as well to do a bit of a one-on-one and a more prescriptive discussion where I can better understand your current state.